Okie dokie, we've got a timber frame here which is an interesting place. You can see, I think, that it has lurched in one direction and it's gone that way of the timber frame, so the bottom half of the frame is angled in and angled in, so that's lurched, but the top is actually where it should be. So what we've got is an angle like that with the bottom going one way and the roof staying more or less put, and we've got this interesting chimney, but I don't think it's going to fall down tomorrow. But if you look at the gable, we've got a real issue with that gable, and I think we're going to have to do a proper repair schedule for that. That is not a happy gable at all. If we have a look at the other, you can see this lovely old frame, and there you see it's indented. What held the roof I don't know at the moment, but you can see it's well indented there. So we got problems with movement. Yeah, then. It is a bit like the M6 down here. If we have a look at this, you'll see that we've got a plinth which has been, God, it's typical Wally builder. I'm trying to work out what's been done here, and I think you can see that Wally has somehow or other, he's put in this stupid damp course. You can see bits of the original lime wash here, look, that's lime wash, and it's been repointed and he's falling apart, and I don't really know, most of this is, it's all cement, and Wally's, dear oh me, the whole thing's just been done with cement. Now the trouble is, of course, because it's been done in cement, we have a sill beam, which you can see here, which is getting soft and compromised. So wherever you take off cement, you start exposing, and you can see here soft timber, and you see how it's all soft and cracked. So somehow or other we've got to get this sorted and exposed, and again soft timber underneath, and it's quite, see, it's damp. There's a damp patch underneath, and we don't actually know what's been done with these either. You can see the infill panels are finished. Somebody has been sticking in acrylic sealer and heaven knows what here. These the sill beam's actually bigger than it looks underneath all of this rubbish. I think you can see that this is, look, you know, bits of acrylic sealer and so on. So we've actually, when you stand back and look at it, we've exposed a much bigger sill beam. You can see the base of the beam there. The top of it's up here somewhere, so it's quite a big piece of wood. But the only bit that was exposed previously was this little bit in the middle. This down the bottom was getting soft, and up the top's getting soft because it's got cement on it. So we've got to figure out what we do with this to get it right. And similarly, I've been having a go here, and you can see the same thing, only it's even worse here because we've got, notice the peeling paint. All this is peeling off, which is saying that the panels are actually wet, and you can see that panel is actually moving. So we've got to find out what these panels are made of, what's behind them all, how they're done. And you can see here there's the top of the timber is soft where I'm scraping it, and then down here we take the cement off, and you can see as we take it off just how badly disintegrated that timber sill beam actually is. It's actually rotted quite badly there. The more we take off, the more you'll see this rotten timber underneath. It's all soft and horrible. So that's not good at all. So we've got a bit of a job on our hands here to try and work out what we're going to do with this frame, how we sort it out, and exactly what they've done with these panels, because this is, I think you can see, it's cement. Underneath is cement, but there seems to be timber in there as well, and for the life of me, I'm not quite sure what's going on. It may be some sort of lath, I don't know, but they are definitely not very happy panels, these. They're wet, and that's rotten timber in there. It's all completely disintegrating, and it's largely Wally Builder, and we know it's wet because of this, so we have to find out what's going on. Well, this is the joys of timber frames for you folks. And what we do in this situation and how we make it stable, I'm not quite sure at the moment. There's a hell of a lot of movement. It may be okay, and we may be able to strap it and tie it together so that it's all fine. But these are very typical repairs. You see here that people are using cement, foam, anything to fill holes in the frame. And of course all of this, wherever you've got foam and cement, you can see the timber there around the edge of that hole. The timber is soft and rotting. This is not very nice at all, so we've got to find a way now of restoring the frame back to breathability. And if you look a little bit further up, you'll see where there's been a lot of repairs done. There's a bit of a patch there, another patch in the middle, and then this, heaven knows, I don't know. I think it's been screwed on, and I think the pegs are just there for show. They're not doing anything. What do you do? Well, the first thing you've got to do is get it breathable. The whole place needs to be got back to breathability, because if you can't breathe, if it can't stay dry, it will rot. So ideally we need to get all of this horrible this stuff, silicone, it's daubed everywhere. And we've got great plugs of, God almighty, look at this. Silicone and cement. You can see how the frame in there has been sealed with silicone, and behind all this silicone, look at it. You see how that timber is absolutely sopping wet in there, and it's wet and it's mouldy and it's disintegrating, and it's all because some idiot put silicone in the frame. And if we take the bottom of the panel off here, you'll see that not only has it been silicone, but at some point they've done the old expanding foam trick as well. So now we have a beautifully rotting sill beam. Look at this. And it's at that point where I think, had it been left any longer, if we hadn't opened this up just now, you probably would have had dry rot going off and starting to attack it. There ain't a lot left of this beam. So now that we've opened this, it will actually start to dry out. So it's now in a, if you like, in a holding pattern. It's got some air to it. It's no longer going to be rotten. We're removing the rotten timber, and I can see another bit here, look, that's all rotten, and behind it, look at this, cement, foam, and rot. And this foam and cement is so typical of the kind of rot. This is the sort of thing that happens when you use the wrong materials. You use foam and cement, you will kill a timber frame. You simply cannot use modern materials on these old frames. And we are now seeing exactly what goes on. Now you'll see here there's a bit of timber with foam, and then that timber, rotten bits of timber laughing, God knows what. And if you see up underneath there, you can just see that is the bottom of a wood wool infill panel, and that wood wool panel has been put into the hole. You could use wood wool panels, but unfortunately this one has been fixed with cement. You can see the cement there, and the whole thing's been bedded with cement, it's been coated with cement, and it's been amazingly, there's the panel. If we expose a bit more of it, that is the quality, or not, as the case may be, of the workmanship. There we go. So there's a section of what's been done. So we've got an infill panel, a wood wool infill panel, and the blasted thing has actually been sealed in, would you believe, with expanding foam. So the expanding foam's got in, it's trapping moisture into this gap, and so, hey presto, we've got rotten timber. The whole thing is rotting around the edges. Look at that, it's just rotten timber, and it's wet. You can see all of this timber is sopping wet. So look at it, everything rotten, gone. So this is a, if you like, a salutary lesson to be learned from what not to do with a timber frame. You cannot use modern materials on these beautiful old buildings. This is grade 2 listed, and we're going to have to do some serious work on this building. The more we look, the more we're finding, and I think you can see that this is all. You can see that they've gone round it with silicone. They're sealing it, and the building is wet inside. We've got a problem on our hands here to try and solve. The solution actually is going to be replace these panels in much the same way, but they need to be done with lime. This is actually relatively breathable. You can get moisture through these panels. They're pretty okay to use, but this on the front of it needs to be lime, and down here this all needs to be sealed with oakum. It needs to be a breathable edge that allows moisture out. You can't use expanding foam like this. If you use it, you kill the timber frame. I would love to get my hands on the idiot that did this. It's shocking. It's just criminal. And you can see this entire sill beam right the way back inside that hole. Everything, you know, I'm fishing it out here, and you look at that stuff, it's all rotten, the whole thing. So the sill beam needs to be exposed. We need to get all this rotten timber out. We need to get it to try and start drying out. And I think this, you can see that the plinth here is wet and green. I don't quite know where the green is coming from, but there's moisture kicking around in here, and there's a lot of it. Not very happy at all. I think some idiot has rebuilt this. He's put a bit of plastic membrane in, so the whole thing has been rebuilt in cement, which is compromising the sill beam completely. And you can see these idiots have redone it with cement. This is all just down here. I had a bit of a hack at it. It's wet cement. it's all holding moisture. You look at this plinth in here, it's even, look at this, God's sake, this is, there you go, look at that. We've got a leak, so we'll shove a load of acrylic in it, and it's wet behind it, you know. Like, dear oh me. So, folks, that's probably not what I wanted to see first thing in the morning on a beautiful blue sky, 0 degrees. Lovely drying weather if you've got a building like this that's sopping wet. That'll start to dry out now. It's been exposed, it can actually dry. But I don't want to see a wet plinth. And the cement that's in here, you look at this cement, it's sopping. You know, that is wet cement. And this stupid plastic that somebody's put in, the whole thing, everything is just full of water. So it's not going to do the building any good at all. We've got a very wet building inside because of it. So with a fair bit of work we've got to do to sort this place out and get it dry. I think it's going to be a phased approach, which will probably start with trying to remove the foreign material from the outside, all of the cement and the acrylic fillers, all of these things here, they need to come out. All this filler here, because behind this acrylic filler and this silicone, the timber will be very happily rotting. So we get rid of all of this stuff. These joints then get caulked up with oakum, and we have to make a decision about what we're going to do with these infill panels, because the infill panels are failing, and because they've been done with the wrong materials, the building is now getting wet. And you can see internally, if you look inside, there is water dripping down the infill panels all over the place. And we've got a gable on there. That whole gable is going to need rebuilding. The whole thing is just completely rotten. And you've got a little feature here that's worth looking at. That little mark, if I can see it, yeah, there. That's where they put a pole in when the frame is erected, and you can probably see here it goes around the corner, and those are the construction marks on the frame. So they have a piece of wood leaning in there holding the corner post, and a piece of wood holding there, so they actually prop it into shape. And there you can see where the brickwork has replaced, but there's a tie beam which would have run across there. That's been taken out. And then this top frame, I mean, this is so waving it around a bit here, but that frame is not very happy at all. If we just zoom in on that, you will see that in the middle of that tie, that main beam at the bottom, that's all cracked and broken. And then if you look further up, that is in several pieces, so the collar tie at the top has no structural integrity at all. So there you go. Quite an interesting issue that we've got here. We're going to have to replace this bottom beam, so that tie will come across, and then the collar tie will come across.
How's it going? All right?
I wish.
Yeah.
Quite a programme of work.